19th, the Save a Buck sales event, now at your local Big O Tire.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams are 3-1 after beating the Indianapolis Colts Sunday 27-20 at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford connected with Tutu Atwell for an 88-yard touchdown pass with 1:33 left in the fourth quarter. The Chargers suffered their first defeat of the season, a 21-18 loss to the New York Giants. The Giants were 0-3. Rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, making his first NFL start, had a touchdown pass and ran for another TD. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was intercepted twice. Sad news for USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins. The Compton native will miss the entire upcoming season to continue rehabbing a torn ACL in her right knee. Watkins was injured March 24th in a second-round NCAA tournament game against Mississippi State. The Dodgers will play Cincinnati in the first round of the National League playoffs. Game 1 in the best-of-5 is Tuesday night at 6 at Dodger Stadium. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, KBLA delegation. Tavis Smiley here. On Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech becomes the epicenter of ideas that matter. The Left Coast Forum is bringing together voices that challenge, inspire, and illuminate, with keynote presentations from people like noted economist Richard Wolff, the man who breaks down capitalism in ways that make sense to working folk like you and me, and Dr. Cornel West will be there, the brilliant philosopher and activist who never stops fighting for justice and speaking truth to power and to the powerless, for that matter. So this isn't just another conference. This is where ideas get tested, where the conversations that shape our future begin. Multiple plenary sessions, dynamic speakers, real talk about the issues that impact our communities, and then some good food and a live band. Saturday, October 25th, LA Trade Tech, Left Coast Forum. The event is free and open to the public, but you must register at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can also peep the plenary topics. The future belongs to those who show up and engage. So don't just think about change, be part of the conversation that creates it. The Left Coast Forum is brought to you by the LA Progressive, the Empowerment Congress, Community Coalition, Partnership for Growth LA, Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, LA Care Health Plan, United Teachers Los Angeles, Black Progressive Action Coalition, St. John's Community Health, the National Lawyers Guild, the Weingart Foundation, and more. Space is limited, so if I were you, I'd register right now at KBLA1580.com. Your voice matters, your presence matters. We'll see you there.
From the Indians who welcome the pilgrims, and to the buffaloes who once ruled the plain, like the vultures circling beneath the dark clouds, looking for the rain, looking for the rain. Just like the cities that stagger on the coastline, in a nation that just can't stand much more. Like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow.
Dr. West, as you know, chooses his own walk on music, and today he's going with the Winter in America. Gil Scott-Heron, Doc.
Yeah. 50 years ago, brother, the genius of Gil Scott-Heron and Brian Davis out of Brooklyn. Two of them together telling deep truths, painful truths, though, brother. And they are prophetic to the core. What does he say? Democracy is a ragtag on the corner. Woo! And the healers have been killed or betrayed. That's what they said in America. Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Turn it up, Miles.
Ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Save your soul. Lord knows from winter
Save your soul from Winter in America. How do we do that part, Doc? How do we do that?
Oh, Lord, listen to this verse right here, Constitution.
Free society, struggle for the died in vain. And now democracy is a ragtime on the corner, hoping for some rain. That look like he's hoping for some rain. And I see the robins perched in barren treetops. They're watching last-ditch races marching across the floor. But just like the peace sign that vanished in our dreams, never had a chance to grow.
Never had a chance to grow.
Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. It's winter in America. And all of the healers have
all the healers. Jail. Betrayed.
People know it's winter.
So, Doc, situate this song, the lyrical content of it. Situate that in this present moment.
Yeah, you see Gil and Brian talking about just how spiritually empty and morally decrepit not just the empire is, but the leadership, including so much of our black leadership, because the great ones, those who had deep love and sense of service, they've either been killed or betrayed or pushed aside, and you end up with these copies, these phonies, these fakes. You can't fake the funk, and it means that your greatness of your tradition gets deodorized in the name of what? Success, money, reputation, status, image, spectacle. But who is for real gonna tell the fundamental truth rooted in the legacy of the wretched of the earth and those in the hood, those wrestle with mass incarceration, those wrestle with decrepit schools, those wrestle with inadequate health care. Those are the truth tellers. And Gil Scott-Heron is saying, I just don't see no more in any substantive way.
Yeah. This is
that's the winter in America, brother. I'm telling you, Gil Scott was laying it out 50 years ago.
No, this is why, and the timing of this conversation, timing of that track, with the conversation we're about to have, fits so nicely. This whole Charlie Kirk situation, which continues to reverberate in a variety of ways, speaks to how we are normalizing and mainstreaming hate in this country. And if that doesn't speak to winter in America, I don't know what does. In case you were not listening at the top of the hour, I had a chance to watch, as many of you did. The numbers are huge. This debate, as it were, this conversation between Ezra Klein, who wrote some things about Charlie Kirk that I just found distasteful, frankly. And then Ta-Nehisi Coates had his turn writing a piece in Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair. Yeah, I read his piece. And so I want to just play for you right quickly here, just a taste from this conversation that Ezra and Ta-Nehisi Coates had. And then I want to unpack it with the doc. Give it to me, Miles.
One thing I wrote about in that piece that I do worry about is I worry we are already in a cycle of political violence, of mimetic violence. I think about Pelosi. I think about Shapiro. I think about the near assassination on Trump. I think about when after that happened, I thought about me. I thought about you. I thought about all kinds of people I know, right? So I do think there's just something about when violence takes hold that you like, that there's something about it that it begins to breach all lines.
Yeah. So
anyway,
I guess
that was part of my reaction too.
I think all of that is understandable, but I guess, was silence not an option?
Yeah, silence to me was not grieving with people. I felt it was important as someone who is liberal, as someone who has a voice, that there are moments like that. Like, I really do feel, and it's funny because you said something like this in your piece, but it was a little bit more offhanded. that political violence like that is an attack on us all.
Right.
And that in that moment, it creates, for me, even if it's very temporary, that it's important in a moment like that to sort of, come together, to try to see other people in their grief, to try to cool things down just a little bit.
Just a taste of the conversation between Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ezra Klein as they hash out their Charlie Kirk disagreement. That phrase is actually the name of the podcast. If you're looking for it, that's how it's labeled. Ezra Klein and Ta-Nehisi Coates hash out their Charlie Kirk agreement. Dr. West and I are going to hash out what they had to say in this podcast when we come forward on Tavis.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at kbla1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to kbla1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
It's Smiley and West because it's Monday at the top of the second hour. So every Monday and Thursday, Dr. Cornel West joins us again, top of the second hour. So, Doc, I played that clip, and let me just say, in case there are folk who weren't listening at the very top of the show, just give you my quick POV on this, and I'll get out of the way and let you do your thing. So, again, everybody's talking about this conversation with Ezra and Ta-Nehisi, and as I said, I watched it yesterday, and as I mentioned earlier, I've done this for a long time, and so I'm not naive. I recognize that every conversation does not always lead to conversion, that conversations don't always lead to transformation. But sometimes, as I said earlier, these public dialogues are, in my mind, just an exercise in using language as a sort of prophylactic, not really getting at a moral clarity about the ways in which Black suffering gets rendered invisible, even as that suffering is at the epicenter of the American democratic experiment. That's what I said earlier. I stand by that. But what did you saw this, I assume. What's your read or your take of what you saw or didn't see in that debate, that conversation?
Well, I do want to acknowledge that, 2 weeks ago when you and I had a conversation about this, we made a radical distinction between, on the one hand, being able to come to terms with death and humanity and empathize with family versus no sympathy with racist remarks, no sympathy with white supremacist sensibility. But the problem of the debate, though, brother, is so much a problem of the intellectual class that the debate is so narrow and truncated and parochial and provincial. It takes place within a neoliberal silo. So here you got Brother Ezra, and that Brother Ezra was honest. Brother Ezra was saying, look, we've been defeated. I'm wrestling with loss. I don't know what my role is. I don't know what my function is anymore. And one of the things maybe I think I should do, because I'm looking to the future, is come up with strategies. And therefore, I'm trying to come up with how do I learn how to talk to people that I disagree with. So Ezra was speaking very much to the future. Now, Brother Coates was not really speaking directly to the future at all. Coates was just saying, I didn't like what you left out, rightly so. Coates had some strong points in terms of welcome to Black America, but it would never occur to Brother Coates that maybe the Obama connection and deference that he has, characterizing Obama the best of Black culture. He's a deeply moral person when he's dropping bombs on 7 nations. A rare act of cowardliness in regard to Shirley Sherrod, as if Obama was courageous all the way through. No, you got a Black Lives Matter movement against Obama precisely because he did not want to speak to what was happening on the ground with police murder and police attack. So it never occurs to either one, but especially Brother Coates, that maybe his uncritical deference and love affair with Obama's neoliberalism is one of the causes of the fascism. Is one of the causes, because when you have liberals identifying with big money, identifying with Wall Street, identifying with the winners in terms of those who gain access to upward mobility, which is part of the professional class, and the masses of people, no matter what color, but especially the masses of Black people living in poverty or near poverty, dealing with the terrorism in their own community, sometimes on each other, other times coming from the police. So it never occurs to neither one of them. Let's start with ways in which our neoliberalism contributed to the fascism. That's not even a notion. Now Ezra is leaning a bit toward it, because he's trying to say, look, we got to re-examine. We really do have to re-examine. But each time when Coates comes back at him and talks about the racism of Kurt, then he gets real nervous. And of course, Ezra's concerned about those folk who are starting to draw the line where he's on the other side. He's not even on the progressive side no more. So he wants to make sure he's a progressive. But you end up with this very deodorized discourse that has little to do with speaking the truth. Now, with my dear brother Coates, and I appreciate his voice, but he says, I'm a writer, and I must speak the truth plainly. Brother Coates, you didn't speak the truth in regard to Obama. You didn't speak the truth in the way in which Obama facilitated and sponsored the apartheid and ethnic cleansing in Israel. You didn't speak the truth in terms of the Wall Street bailout. You didn't speak the truth in terms of the way in which the Black middle class turns its back on the Black poor. Where's the truth telling? You can't be like James Baldwin if you don't have the courage to tell the truth. You can't be fearful. You can't be intimidated. That's what it is to be a great writer. You got to be able to speak from your soul, not speak from your fear. And so in that sense, you say to yourself, well, here's the New York Times. What can you say? They just like the New Yorker. They just like the Atlantic magazine with Jeffrey Goldberg being a member of the IDF, and he's the editor-in-chief, and he's the facilitator of Coates and so many of the others, and they can't say a mumbling word about his complicity with the IDF for 12 years. And then Coates has come out recently. It's a beautiful thing. I salute him. But for 12 years, he's thoroughly complicit. Just remember the attacks that Coates and others put on us, though, brother?
Yeah, I recall.
These black intellectuals critical of Israel don't know what they're talking about. They ought to, hey, settle down, brother. You come from a great noble family, Paul Coates and others, Black Panther Party, telling the truth about Palestinian suffering, oppressed people suffering around the world. Don't say that you didn't know nothing about it. What are we talking about here? Let's be truthful about our claims to be truth tellers. And when it comes to Klein and when it comes to Coates, both of them fail. They fall far short, and they ought to be self-critical in the role that they played in hiding and concealing the suffering, not just of Black people, but of poor people and of working people as they were making their way to their various, I don't know how much money they're worth, but I know they probably got millions of dollars making their way to their money making. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the people were suffering. You see.
Let me go back to the very onset of your critique of this conversation. And no naivete here, as I often say. But to your mind, what is the source? What is the I'm trying to find the right word. I guess source is the best word I can come up with right now. But this blind spot that neoliberals have, what is that about?
I mean, one is I think they just live in very, very limited context.
Mm-hmm.
But two is they just obsessed with success. And success always trumps character. Success trumps courage. Success trumps taking a risk of one's career and one's next opportunity to tell the truth. And so when Gil Scott and Brian Jackson talk about the healers have been killed or betrayed or trashed, he's saying that the love warriors and the truth tellers, they get completely pushed away. Where's Glenn Ford's voice? Good God, towering figure that he was. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's voices out there, but it's hard for them to have weight because those who are more cowardly gain more attention in a moment in which is more about spectacle and glitz and blitz as opposed to serious truth-telling, justice-seeking, and willing to serve and sacrifice and willing to live and die.
Yeah. So one of the things that bothered me about the conversation, I tried to intimate this earlier, is this notion of, how might I put it, centering the perpetrator versus centering the wounded. Centering the perpetrator versus centering the wounded. What I mean by that is when you read what Ezra had to say in the aftermath of the murder of Charlie Kirk, you get the sense that he's still centering outrage and, to your term, spectacle, concern for elite voices rather than for the historically marginalized or terrorized communities like the one that we live in. So I'm not sure that the focus was then or is now where it ought to be, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. And we could ask Brother Ezra quite explicitly that if Charlie Kirk had said the things about black people, that if he were to say things about Jews, what he said about black people, would he overlook that and say he was doing the right thing because he was reaching out and involved in dialogue with others? Now, I do think Ezra is partly right. Ezra is right to say we do have to learn how to speak to people who we disagree with. He's absolutely right about that.
Sure.
But at the same time, you got to acknowledge that what he is actually saying is deeply rendering the suffering of poor people, and in this case, black people, and even some of the cases, Jewish people. But if he had said all those things about Jews, would Ezra say exactly the same thing? I don't know. I'm not accusing Ezra of nothing, but
Sure.
that's a counterfactual. That's a hypothetical question. Whereas for people like ourselves, we old school enough. We Martin Luther King Jr., Fannie Lou Hamer, Rabbi Heschel, Edward Said school of thought that says that we're going to raise questions that's always rooted in the suffering of the least of these, period. I don't care what color, and that means the black bourgeoisie, that means the Obamas, that means the Eric Holders. They have to be rendered thoroughly accountable when they accommodate themselves to either genocide or grotesque wealth inequality or corporate domination of our society and lose out the rich humanity of everyday people, in the language of Sly Stone.
Yeah. I think one of the mistakes that Ezra made in writing his piece was that he made the assumption, perhaps unwittingly, but made the assumption that many of the people reading his stuff, people like you and me, don't come from a tradition that has been put upon, disenfranchised, politically, socially, economically, subject to random violence, hated. He assumes in his writing that we don't understand what that means, what that feels like in the first place.
Yeah, no, but that's part of the neoliberal silo. But the neoliberal silo is over, brother. It's been completely shattered. And Brother Ezra's honest about that. It's lost, it's failure, it is shattered. It needs to be reconceived. That means, of course, Democratic Party with neoliberalism at the center, tied to the corporatism at home and tied to genocide abroad and imperial practices around the world. It is over. And if fascism is the only alternative, we all go under. That's the seriousness of this moment. That's what Sister Connie was hitting on so crucially in that rich dialogue with you. This is not an ordinary moment. This is very unprecedented. The suffering is not new for Black people, but for the American empire, it's an unprecedented moment because the full-throated fascism that's in the making is something that Black people and indigenous people have experienced. Now everybody will experience it, and that's new.
Yeah. No, I said on this program, I guess a week ago, and I come back to this now, given this conversation with Ezra and Ta-Nehisi. Every one of us, as Dr. West says, has to do that dance with mortality. And I have no way of knowing whether I will outlive the brother minister Louis Farrakhan. But if I do, and I'm in this chair when that moment comes, I am curious to see what deference they will give to him and his family when he takes his last breath. Something tells me that the deference that Ezra Klein gave to Charlie Kirk and his family is not going to be present. It's going to be missing when the brother minister takes his last breath. We'll have to wait and see about that. But my sense is that I'm going to be right about that. We shall see. I've got 2 minutes left here, Doc, and I want to just make sure we say a word about the Black liberation activist Assata Shakur, who died after 41 years in exile. I had the opportunity to meet her. I wrote a piece after the passing of Fidel Castro about meeting Castro, spending some time with him in Cuba. And while I was on that trip to meet Mr. Castro, I met Assata Shakur and spent some time with her. But just a final word about her passing. The news came over the weekend.
Well, in so many ways, when we talked about the juxtaposition for those who are willing to pay the ultimate price, that her love for Black people, her love for oppressed people was such that she was willing to live and to die. She was willing to go to jail for life. She escaped and made it to Cuba. Her spirit is at work in every rally of the Black Lives Matter. When we went to jail in Ferguson, when we went to jail in other places around the country, we always had her pledge said before the police put us in the paddy wagons, which means then that she lives. Her spirit lives in the struggles of those who are willing to pay major prices and sometimes the ultimate price. And so we salute our dear sister, 78 years of service, 78 years of struggle. And and I hope and pray that we never ever forget it. People don't have to disagree with everything, but we know that our heart and soul was always with the people, brother.
Yeah. Assata Shakur passed away again. News came over the weekend after 41 years in exile. And again, when I was there to interview Castro many years ago, had a chance to sit with her for hours and just talk to her. And it was quite a moment. Dr. West, as always, appreciate your insights. We'll do it again on Thursday, top of the second hour. Talk to you soon, sir.
Love you, my brother. Stay strong now.
Stay strong. Love you much. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A man is in custody after a deadly shooting at a North Carolina waterfront restaurant. Southport Police Chief Todd Coring explains.
We got calls to our 911 center about shots fired at the establishment that people were taking fire.
Police say Nigel Edge killed 3 and injured 5 before fleeing by boat. Edge appears in court today. Black Florida Representative Byron Donalds is gaining momentum in the governor's race with endorsements from 15 sheriffs, including Miami-Dade and Hillsborough. Backed by President Trump, Donalds leads in GOP polls and positions himself as the law and order and MAGA candidate. And Snoop Dogg is heading to Italy as a roving correspondent for NBC's 2026 Winter Olympics. After winning 2 sports Emmys for his Paris coverage, he'll bring his signature style to Milan Cortina, followed by the Paralympics in March. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Want to save a few bucks this season? Then head over to your local Big O Tires for their Save a Buck sales event. You'll save up to $250 on select sets of tires with paid installation through October 19th. The Save a Buck sales event, now at your local Big O Tires.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The Rams are 3-1 after beating the Indianapolis Colts Sunday 27-20 at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford connected with Tutu Atwell for an 88-yard touchdown pass with 1:33 left in the fourth quarter. The Chargers suffered their first defeat of the season, a 21-18 loss to the New York Giants. The Giants were 0-3. Rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, making his first NFL start, had a touchdown pass and ran for another TD. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was intercepted twice. Sad news for USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins. The Compton native will miss the entire upcoming season to continue rehabbing a torn ACL in her right knee. Watkins was injured March 24th in a second-round NCAA tournament game against Mississippi State. The Dodgers will play Cincinnati in the first round of the National League playoffs. Game 1 in the best-of-5 is Tuesday night at 6 at Dodger Stadium. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hard rock style is coming to the Central Valley, just 30 minutes south of Bakersfield off Route 99. You'll find world-class gaming and entertainment. Less drive time equals more playtime. The all-new Hard Rock Casino Tejon, opening soon.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Freedom is an endless meeting, So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Conversation now with Dr. Terence Lester, from Dr. Cornel West to Dr. Terence Lester. He's founder and executive director of Love Beyond Walls. He'll take us inside his new book, From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. Dr. Lester, good to have you on this program. Sir, how are you today? Your mute button's on. I can't hear you. Try that again. Take that mute button off. Dr. Lester, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can I hear Dr. Lester, Miles and Faraji? Dr. Lester, you there? I'm talking. Dr. Lester, can you hear me? I think his mute button may be on. It's live radio. It happens sometimes. He can hear me apparently, but I cannot hear him. Let me say a quick word about his book while we figure this out. The book is called From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. It's a fascinating personal journey from being a high school dropout to a PhD with research on Black educational inequality in this new text. And so we're honored to have him on. I think you can hear me now. Dr. Lester, you there, sir?
Tavis, it's nice to hear from you.
And nice to talk to you, man. Thank you for the time. Let me just make the most of the time that we have here. You use a phrase, and I want you just to sort of unpack this at the outset of this conversation. We'll jump from there. That education is no longer a talking point. It is a battleground. It's not just a talking point. It's a battleground. Unpack that statement for me. Well, as I said, we'll jump from there.
Yeah, when you think about education, if we just go back to 2018 and fast forward to now, there have been several policies that have either been rolled back or are creating more disadvantages for Black students who are having hopes of achieving any type of higher educational success. You have the school discipline and policing policies that was rolled back in 2018. You have book bans and curriculums where Black students will lose access to curriculum that affirm their histories and lived experiences. You have the Supreme Court affirmative action ruling, right, in 2023 for students and fair admissions, this race-conscious admission struck down by the Supreme Court. You have this escalation of book bans. You have the Supreme Court's decision that limits the Department of Education authority. And here, earlier this year, we saw the disbanding of the Department of Education. And when we look at statistics and data and who it actually impacts, we have to look at poverty, the lens of poverty. And the recent census has released data coming out of 2024 that suggests that Black people are faced with higher concentrations of poverty than any other ethnic group in this country. And what does that do? It creates barriers within the context of schools. It reduces the amount of support and access and exposure to education as a tool and a vehicle for students. And it also places greater disadvantages for Black students who are wanting to achieve any type of higher education to access that. And so when I say it's a battleground, I'm talking about how policy itself will actually impact the educational success of Black students.
It's clear to me that for you, educational inequality is not theoretical, and I understand why this issue of educational inequality has become your work and your witness. But just tell me more about this background, about how Terence Lester becomes a high school dropout.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 1980s, 1990s. In the book, I am connecting to historical injustice related to the oppression of Africans in this country and how that produced public policy. And the public policy itself creates the social living conditions. We hear hip hop groups like the Furious Five talk about it in their song, The Message, right? Broken glass everywhere. They're kind of painting this reality of what it's like to grow up impoverished. And so I was dealing with the trifecta of what it means to experience the social living conditions in a community that was concentrated with poverty, right? I had trauma. I grew up in a single parent household. Early on, I was exposed to the urban hassles of the community, the food deserts, the dilapidated buildings, the investment in community. And I experienced that, and I did not have the proper conversations needed to show me why education was a viable tool. I ended up dropping out of high school, and it was a guy who was experiencing homelessness one day calls over to a group while I was walking down the street. And he told me that education would become a source and a pathway for my leadership. My mom did everything that she could to try to keep me in school, but it was so much going on in my environment that the only option that I could dream about not having those types of conversations was dropping out. I eventually ended back up in school as a fifth-year senior, and I had a teacher named Miss West who actually allowed me to use her classroom as a sanctuary. She would call out my Black brilliance. She would tell me that I would one day be a leader. And she would communicate to me that education could become a source of strength rather than something that would hold me back in life.
Tell me more about that teacher. And I asked that question because I've said many, many times that teachers are the most undervalued resource in this society. I've also said that teachers are remembered by their students. How you will be remembered is really up to you. But I'm always just thrilled to hear the stories of students who recall fondly the love that they receive from a particular teacher. And you mentioned Ms. West. Of course, we just had a conversation with Dr. West. His mother was a longtime teacher in Sacramento, and then a principal. There's a school, in fact, named after her in Northern California. But I'm fascinated by this teacher because when you mentioned her name, my mind went to my favorite teachers who looked out for me, Mrs. Graft in the second grade, and Mr. Jackson in the fifth grade. And I'm a Black kid at a basically all white school, and yet they did not treat me differently. Didn't have any less expectation of me than anybody else. So tell me more about Miss West and how she inspired you in that classroom.
Yeah, Miss West was a young Black woman who was in her first year of teaching. I go back to school as a fifth-year senior, most embarrassing time of my life. But during that time, my mom communicated to me that getting a GED was not an option because it was being stigmatized to suggest that you're less than if you are Black and you receive this. I got back into school. She was a 10th grade geometry teacher. I was a fifth-year senior. I walked in her class after experiencing homelessness and all of the struggles and coming from my environment. And she notices me one day. She walks up to me and she says, "Young man, I want you to stay after class." And she says, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I feel like you need to know it. You're Black, you're brilliant, and I want you to use my classroom as a source of strength for you. Miss West gave me the opportunity to come into her class days when I found myself living out of the trunk of my car as a fifth-year senior, experiencing homelessness sometimes. She gave me an opportunity to come into her classroom, and she told me that I had potential that superseded my existential realities. And I believe Miss West was practicing a trauma-informed care and a trauma-informed pedagogy long before these terms were actually more notably used. And so Miss West is one of the sources of strength I gained to not only graduate from high school, but to dream about one day possibly becoming a PhD student.
That dream did in fact become a reality. We'll talk more about that when we come forward. The book is called From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. The author of that book, Dr. Terence Lester, is our guest right now on Tavis.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. That's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land loss before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Dr. Terence Lester, author of the book From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. It is so often the case, Dr. Lester, as you well know, that Black boys have difficulty getting on the good foot and then staying on the right path. It's one thing for Mr. West to have encouraged you to get on the right path. How'd you stay on it? Dr. Lester?
I think one of the primary ways I was able to stay on it was I started to be surrounded by Black men and a community of teachers and educators and leaders within the context of community that would speak life into me. And when I say life, they would talk to me more about my giftings and my talents and my abilities versus the existential lived experiences that I was journeying through. And that kind of opened me up to become, I would consider, a questionary, right? Where I would learn from older Black men and talk to them about struggles and, the dreams that I had on the inside. And I found the community of courage and a community of support. And I oftentimes say this, Tavis, that sometimes you have to borrow courage and confidence long before you even have it in yourself. And I found one courageous Black man by the name of Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore was the person that I could go to and talk about my own impoverishment. He was the person that I could go to and ask, should I put myself through college and overcome some of the barriers that were placed before me? He was even the person that I could reach out to and ask, should I marry her? He gave me the type of courage and confidence that I needed when I didn't have it in myself. And it's a powerful thing when you find your community, or when a person decides to become community to a young Black man, to suggest that they have meaning, they have purpose, they have something that they can strive for beyond the lived experiences that Dr. West defines in his book as nihilism, going through the struggles of life.
Yeah. You think that power of community still exists in Black America today?
I think it can, but it needs to exist more. Right now, I sit on school governance council for several Title I schools, namely elementary schools. And you see the impoverishment and how it impacts educational outcomes for students. Like you walk into a school and you see a student who has oversized clothes, or their family woke up in a motel or a shelter, and how a student will sit in class, even young Black students, right? Young Black males sit in class and they can't even connect with their education because they are socially aware of the impoverishment that they are faced with. And so, you know, one of the things that we're trying to incorporate is the call for more volunteers, the call for more Black men to come into schools and volunteer, just to be seen and have that representation, because you cannot become what you don't behold, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not happening in small pockets, but I'm suggesting that we need more of that, specifically with all of the funding shifts that are happening all around the country.
When we come forward in our remaining moments with Dr. Tim Lester, I do want to, Terence Lester, I want to ask him what agency everyday people have. I'm talking now about parents and their children. What agency they have in these policy decisions that he referenced earlier that are directly shaping what these students have or don't have to thrive. What agency do we have in these policy decisions that he, again, laid out quite nicely earlier? And then, of course, I want to have him say a word about his program, Love Beyond Walls. Dr. Terence Lester is our guest. His book is called From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. You're listening to him, and I'm glad about it, right now on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. Terence Lester, author of the book From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. What agency do parents and, for that matter, students have in these policy decisions that you referenced earlier that frankly are handicapping in many ways the future of Black students in this country?
Yeah, Tavis, I think one, we have some local agency, parents, students, community members. You can attend school board and PTA meetings. Like, this is very essential because there's a greater opportunity to place pressure, right, on budgets that are debated. There's an opportunity for mutual aid and grassroots organizing, right? Communities can come together and actually create tutoring programs and scholarship funds. If you're a part of the faith community, right, you can get your churches, your mosques, your synagogues involved. Grassroots groups can actually help to create programs and mobilize volunteerism to actually get involved in schools. You can engage your legislators. You can have advocacy coalitions, right? On a federal level, you can commit to a public advocacy. You can encourage voting and civic engagement. You can have coalition building. I think there are several ways, but one of the ways that I want to lift up the most is reframing the ways in which we talk about those who are poor, right? We have to push back against those false narratives that suggest to be poor is synonymous with criminality. To be poor is synonymous with being lazy. There are people experiencing poverty all around this country who work more hours per week than those who may have even career jobs. And so we need to reframe what it means to experience poverty in this country, because it takes courage to wake up and be poor in this country.
Nope, I take your point loud and clear. I hear you. Say a word now quickly here about Love Beyond Walls.
Yeah, Love Beyond Walls is a grassroots organization founded in Atlanta, Georgia. We advocate on behalf of those who are unhoused and experiencing poverty. We help people recover identification cards, get access to temporary housing, access public sanitation, and even hygiene. We advocate against the encampment enclosures and the stigmatization of what it means to be poor and unhoused. We help people get access to jobs. We started the first museum in the United States that represents the subject of homelessness out of a shipping container. And so we also educate and build empathy why homelessness is not a single story narrative or a monolith, because Dr. King himself said that we live in a world house, right? And if we live in a world house, that means the world is our address, and we have to advocate on behalf of those who are namely invisible or made invisible in this society.
Got 60 seconds left. How do you process the fact that Black men, sadly, have become the face of homelessness in this country, something you experienced as a young man and worked your way through? But what do you make of that the narrative really is accompanied by an image of a Black male face?
It is heartbreaking. It is something that needs to be a part of the national dialogue every single day. It shouldn't just be a political talking point, but we need to start working towards actually eradicating homelessness, and because it is affecting Black men at disproportionate rates. And it takes a village, Tavis, to actually solve this issue. And we need to create more spaces of welcome and healing as opposed to spaces of exclusion.
The book is called From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. The author, Terence Lester, PhD, has been our guest in this hour. Dr. Lester, congrats on the book. Thanks for the conversation, sir. All the best to you.
Thank you so much.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A man is in custody after a deadly shooting at a North Carolina waterfront restaurant. Southport Police Chief Todd Coring explains.
We got calls to our 911 center about shots fired at the establishment, that people were taking fire.
Police say Nigel Edge killed 3 and injured 5 before fleeing by boat. Edge appears in court today. Black Florida Representative Byron Donalds is gaining momentum in the governor's race with endorsements from 15 sheriffs, including Miami-Dade and Hillsborough. Backed by President Trump, Donalds leads in GOP polls and positions himself as the law and order and MAGA candidate. And Snoop Dogg is heading to Italy as a roving correspondent for NBC's 2026 Winter Olympics. After winning 2 sports Emmys for his Paris coverage, he'll bring his signature style to Milan Cortina, followed by the Paralympics in March. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Want to save a few bucks this season? Then head over to your local Big O Tires for their Save a Buck sales event. You'll save up to $250 on select sets of tires with paid installation through October 19th. The Save a Buck sales event, now at your local Big O Tires.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams are 3-1 after beating the Indianapolis Colts Sunday 27-20 at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford connected with Tutu Atwell for an 88-yard touchdown pass with 1:33 left in the fourth quarter. The Chargers suffered their first defeat of the season, a 21-18 loss to the New York Giants. The Giants were 0-3. Rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, making his first NFL start, had a touchdown pass and ran for another TD. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was intercepted twice. Sad news for USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins. The Compton native will miss the entire upcoming season to continue rehabbing a torn ACL in her right knee. Watkins was injured March 24th in a second-round NCAA tournament game against Mississippi State. The Dodgers will play Cincinnati in the first round of the National League playoffs. Game 1 in the best-of-5 is Tuesday night at 6 at Dodger Stadium. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello,